afternoon, Gary.
Good afternoon, Kate.
Now, in all of these people that we've interviewed this month
Yes,
for the book club, you're only the second person that we've been face to face in a real room instead
it's
of on a
almost
Zoom
as though
room.
we're sitting next to each other. Is that you for real? It is.
And it's such a joy to have you here in Cambodia at Angkor Grace, the Beating Heart,
Yes.
Soul Advisor.
Well, I have to say my heart is beating with the feeling of resonance in this residence on all that we're setting forth. It's a thrill to be in this environment and all you're creating together. I'm honored to be part of this.
Oh, wow. Just wait until we let our audience know what's going on at Angkor Grace and Soul Advisor, which we can't do until we get back to Australia.
That's okay.
Anyway.
Just you wait. We'll be right back to you.
Anyway, meanwhile, in 2013,
Yes,
you created this book,
I did.
Get Up, Stand Up for Your Life.
Get up, stand up.
And there you are, jumping off. Where were you?
I'm leaping off a cliff for the first time ever and diving, actually. I was a champion springboard diver when I was young in the Mornington Peninsula. And you can see the person who videoed this included the splash in the wave. So you got it as though you can see the four different images of me as though it's four different still photos, including the entrance into the water. So that is some really cool photography, and that was an amazing moment. I didn't know that 3 days later this would be the cover photo for my book.
So this really is kind of your motto as well as the book title, Get Up, Stand Up for Your Life.
Well, it is actually. It is. My whole life has been about getting up, standing up, stepping up, showing up. And in the book itself, in the blurb, which I can read part of, the key words back here, which you can hear, I'll say it because the print is small, is that I've always seen myself, Kate, as an archaeologist of the soul. What does he mean by that? Thank you for asking. What I mean by that is that I've always, particularly in my early 20s, that's 50 years ago, when I received quite a bit of transformational body therapy and all kind of physical, emotional, and creative release work, out came all these gifts of expression. But it didn't happen just like that. First, I released the physical tension that I was bound up, like we are all bound up. And then out came the emotional holding patterns, the self-talk, keeping these limiting beliefs in place. And then from that came this surge of creativity, painting, songs, books, and a whole series of creative rituals to transform people's lives. So at that time in my early 20s, since I received a lot of this work that freed me up, I, even though I didn't have the words back then, and now I do, saw myself as I'm going to dedicate my life to freeing the physical, emotional layers and creative layers of held onto stored energy that we're all bound in these landscapes of our bodies. So that's why I picked the terminology of archaeologist of the soul. Digging under the surface, we free the physical tensions, out come the emotional self-talk and patterns, and then all of us, we are infinitely creative once we release in that way. And that's what spurred me to write this book and the chapters that follow, which we can go into.
It's a very powerful message, you know.
It is.
And you are like an energy ball. Gary is like an energy ball. So it's kind of like having an energizer bunny next to you.
Well, I
When
am.
yeah.
And
So you
true.
do help liberate people, you know, like you're very playful in the way that you approach things, and you come up with creative solutions pretty quickly. And this book is all about that.
This book is all about that. This book is actually a condensation of and a collection of 5 decades from my early 20s, now I'm in my 70s, of dedication to these 5 areas. When I wrote the book, I was realizing this is my living legacy. And what is it I'm dedicated to? So this book is actually filled with creative rituals for transforming your relationship with your body, your relationships, your partnerships, your communication, your creativity, and your contribution to humanity. And each of the chapters has creative rituals and simple, easy to follow tools that are fun, that are playful. And I've done that very specifically. I hear it's a very light read, but it allows us to go to the depths of our own authenticity and free from our inner core the stored, stuck, stubborn energy now bound to release. That's what spurred me to create this book in those chapters in that particular sequence.
And I guess that was beta tested on lots and lots of practitioners and friends and family or whatever, was it, before you actually got to put it down in this book? So I'd love to hear, what kind of people did you work with, do you work with to come about?
Yeah. Well, the book starts off, and the audiobook that you can also hear the preamble and a little preview with a story, a short story of a time when I had just begun to visit New Zealand and Australia, this part of the world. I was living on the West Coast in San Francisco most of my adult life, starting with New York City. I've been moving west my whole life. New York, California, Hawaii, New Zealand, Australia, Bali, Thailand, and then back to the east coast of Australia. And this particular time when I was just visiting New Zealand for the first time, I was staying on a beautiful island called Waiheke Island off the coast of Auckland. And I was very much drawn with my Russian Jewish background and my gregariousness and generosity of spirit to actually assist people who had more of a British or stiff upper-lipped, held back consciousness to free them to express themselves fully on stage. And I was doing a large workshop coming up. I was flipping through the yellow pages one day, and I came across this very large half-page ad from a man. He'll be fine about me talking about him this way. Brian Head is his name. And he bills himself in this ad as being a international hypnotherapist and world-class speaker. And I had a sense, he's either going to be full of himself because he's at that status level, or if he's open and humble, perhaps he would be open to my sharing my body-centered, engaging tools to help him reach even more effectively his audience. So I wrote him and I spoke with him, and he was really excited to meet me. Oh, well, what's he so excited about? He said, Gary, I spent $15,000 for that ad and no one ever answered it until right now. Get yourself over here to the mainland in Auckland. I'm about to do a large introductory presentation to over 100 people and helping them be part of my hypnotherapy classes. So I came in and I saw him introducing his upcoming classes to the audience. And he was shouting to his audience. Oh my God. The next day I had a chance to work with him one-on-one. Brian, what were you doing? Did they offend you in some way? Why were you screaming at them? Some people don't actually caliber or test or modulate the way their vocal sounds along with the verbal words and the visual delivery. They don't keep track of it. And suddenly it was like a deer with the headlights in front of him. He seemed like he was in shock. And he said, oh my God, it's my father. He never listened to me. He never cared. He never showed me how much he cared. And I've been shouting. He was in tears at this point. I can reproduce it because I remember the moment. I've been shouting to have my father hear me ever since. That's why I'm shouting to audiences. Suddenly his voice got very humble. And he basically said, I never have to shout again to reach people in audiences. So this is part of what I do. And this is one of the stories in the book about taking a real life example of someone who was exaggerated in a particular way I was using what I call the double extreme technique that I've developed to have him realize what it was he was actually doing. There was meaning to his shouting,
Mm.
but he didn't realize it till he was confronted with the question. And once he was able to be humble, he was able to soften his voice and reach people with his humanity, his vulnerability
Mm.
as his strength. Those are some of my key messages that are also shown in this book.
Mm. So it was really, I watched you yesterday because you were working with the Anchor Grace Soul Advisor team here,
That's right.
and I was watching how acutely you listen and pick up people's body language,
Totally.
all the ways that
Yeah,
people.
that's very true. Something that stood out in yesterday's session that I found was exceptional and unusual. I would ask a question like this. All right, who'd be like to be the first to volunteer? And I just waited and I watched. And it's so interesting because the first person who was moving around a lot, obviously, was feeling like they had something to say. So when I watch people and I watch the body language, it speaks volumes way before, well, who's moving the most? You're the next person to speak. It
Yeah.
was absolutely clear before they said a word that the body spoke first.
Mm, mm,
Yeah, I watched, and part of my tools, one of the tools that's also in this book is called the three V's to assist people to share the verbal message, the vocal sounds, and the visual delivery in concert, because often one of those takes over the other. Many speakers, including some of the best in the world who I've coached, they have a great verbal message, but they are then often a talking head, or they've got the great PowerPoint presentation and they don't connect, engage. For me, it's all about developing a relationship
mm,
with the audience, with your body,
mm,
and your messaging. And therein, what you say, the telling becomes compelling, welling, and swelling.
mm,
I'm saying that having said these words thousands of times, so it's easy for me to speak. Well, how does he come up with those clever words? Because I've said this hundreds and hundreds of times. And most people are not spontaneous. So to have the greatest enactment of one's measured speech come across as though they're saying it for the first time, there's an art and a science to that,
mm,
Kate.
mm. It's lovely that you break things down into easily memorable rhyme. So,
Rhyme is a key part of my message.
how did you discover that?
When I first was in my 20s, living in San Francisco, receiving some profound, exceptional, deep body therapy sessions, out came, as I mentioned earlier, the physical tension, the emotional holding patterns, and then my ability to create stories and songs. And after a while, from receiving so much excellent body therapy back then in my early 20s, I developed my own form of body therapy that seemed to be just not about the physical body, but also allowed, because I had a great background in secondary school. I went to a very fine secondary school, Horace Mann private school in New York City. And we studied Shakespeare for 6, 7 months at a time, and we'd study one play. We would go into the depth of the verbal language. So I developed a real interest in rhyme, in reason, in poetry. And when I began to do my strokes with people,
Mm,
instead of just giving strokes, because I was so attuned to freeing the areas in their life that had been holding
mm,
back, I had an ability to be able to connect with what conversations
mm,
are embedded in specific areas of the body. Duh, shouldering the weight of the world. We all do that. A relationship to receiving fully in our chest and heart or not. If I've been in a relationship that I feel broken about and the relationship fell apart, I may have a broken sense of worthiness that it's not, I don't believe I deserve to receive fully. So this area shuts down. So what I began to do with the body work was I created with the stretches on the exhalations matching affirmations in rhyme. Why rhyme? At first, it was just saying words, something like this. While someone was having the muscles being stretched over here with my hands, I would say to them, say these words after me. Let's say over here with the shoulder dropping away. I'd have them say after me these words. My shoulder drops away while their exhale is happening. They say it after me. More room for me to trust what I feel, think, do, and say. Hip, hip, hooray! Now, that didn't come to me originally. It was just clumsy words that seemed to make sense. But the more I said them for streamlined efficiency, Kate, the words became more rhythmical and rhyming. And therefore, they've reached a certain level of repetitive remembrance. You can't forget a good rhyme. And so the whole system I've created of the body therapy before I extended this to presentation coaching became a series of affirmations in rhyme on the exhalations spoken at the same time that the muscle was being stretched. That's how the rhymes became developed.
Gary Holman method.
The Wohlman method for the whole person. That's right.
Wohlman method for the whole
And
person.
something about rhyme, it's fun. It's easy to remember.
Yeah.
And because of that, when I do it now with the presentation coaching, which this book is mostly about, people can then return to the memory more easily. It's anchored in because it has a rhythm to it. They can connect with their own deepest intuition and authenticity and speak from their innermost core.
Also a little bit like being incantated over,
It's
like
very much.
it's a bit magical. You're kind of infusing another person's
I'm
body.
totally doing that. I'm not
Yeah.
just kind of doing that. I'm exactly doing that. And I'm doing that with conscious intent,
Yeah.
with full intent. I often then have people come up with one of my favorite exercises, and it's also in this book, is what I call multi-sensorizing your self-talk. So let's say I'm working with someone and they have a belief from their mother or their father that they never could be good enough. I had that. So I'm being vulnerable here. My mom, my dad, they had great expectations of me. I got the award in high school, in my very fine private school, of the one single student who won the award from the headmaster award for the student that had the best combination of athletics on the one hand and academics on the other. But I didn't really believe in it because I felt I was always pushed, even though I was a top student and top athlete, I felt insecure. And at one point, in one of the exercises in this book, one of my favorite exercises to practice, which we did yesterday in the workshop as well, in my private sessions, is to confront the forces that oppress us. So, for example, Mom, from all the ways that you had high expectations of me, I believe that I was never good enough. And I take this pain that I've been carrying, this false persona, because I'm certainly good enough, I'm more than good enough. And I take this pain of pretending to be less than what I am, and this is the exercise I show everybody to do. And I send it back to the source. I send it back to where it came. I've just sent this past pattern somewhere else to play. Today for me is a new day. Hip, hip, hooray. That's the rhyme part and the magical part. But then the science comes in. Once a person has a chance to name their new self-talk before they do a speech, before they go out and deliver an important message to someone, a delicate or fragile message, I say to them, now that you've said that, for example, something you can practice, and it's also here in the book, is a simple statement. It's safe and easy for me to share my wisdom, my voice and message with you. Okay. And then you can whisper it. The voice is softer, but the gestures are louder. It's safe for me to share my voice, my message, and my wisdom with you. Did you notice that? My sound was louder. Excuse me. My sound was softer, but the gestures were louder. So I have people whisper, shout, sing. It's safe and easy for me to share my voice, my message, and my wisdom with you. I have people do that 3 times, louder, softer, doing it in gibberish. Not to be silly, but I spent many years as a court jester, so it's so easy for me to be said. So we take the self-talk, we multi-sensorize it. I, you, he, she, we, they, shout, sing, whisper, gibberish, write it down, do it in mime. By the time a person does that in 12 different ways, then by simply saying it, it's safe and easy for me to share my voice, my message, and my wisdom with you. Did you notice there was so much more presence? By practicing all those other ways, I got out of my system the fear of looking ridiculous. I have no concern about being ridiculous because we all have that in us. So by allowing the silliness, the strength, the sincerity, and these different ways of multi-sensorizing the message, the true, authentic core self comes parading and pageanting all the way through.
Parading and pageanting, don't you love it? This is, this is your color palette, I've noticed over the last few days.
Yes.
I love your color palette.
Oh, bless you.
And parading and pageanting.
Well, having come out as a court jester in my late 20s when I moved to Hawaii and performing all over the world, my great grandfather on my mother's side played clarinet for the Tsar in Russia, and his brother was a violinist. But my parents hid from me that there was any creative bone in my body because they wanted me to be a successful professional. And I felt that there was something in me that wasn't quite able or willing to just fit into the formula. And so my whole life has been about breaking patterns and assisting others through enchanting ways to do the same. So this court jesterhood allowed me to tap into the wisdom, the vision of assisting everyone to come out of the boxes. I wouldn't say these are our safety zone. I would call it, or even a comfort zone. I would call it a discomfort zone, but it's a familiar zone. So this has been something that for me, pageanting and parading is like being in a Renaissancean festival. I'm used to being in this character of the court jester. So when I say pageanting and parading, that's what's behind my communication.
I love also that you said you're in your 70s now.
I am.
And you've practiced this since you were in your 20s. That is 50 years of perfecting the wording, the movements, and the technique of life, as far as I can tell. Like, I feel like you've really been very singularly focused. No, it's a very creative presence and creative knowledge base that you share. It's hugely playful, but the structure or the holding vessel for that is extremely clear.
It is. It's focused.
Refined.
It's true. When I was in my early 20s and I was living in San Francisco, a psychic, an intuitive astrologer, someone who had those gifts, turned to me and said, "You know what? You're going to transform people's lives in this life in a very playful way. You're going to do some really powerful transformation, but you're going to do that in such a lighthearted way." I didn't know they were talking about that because I didn't yet come out as a court jester. But now, after doing this for 50 years, it's come down to a science. It's a very precise way of engaging the psyche and connecting people in. Now it's very simple tools. I've developed 5 simple sounds that I practice throughout the day in waterfalls, in showers, underwater, that help me connect with a consciousness that awakens my fullest self-expression. And I show people how to do it. It's on my YouTube channel as well.
Is it also in here?
That's not quite in there, no. This book led to that. There are some exercises in there that have to do with activating sound. And this particular exercise, which is in my YouTube channel, that takes this book to another level, is the A-E-I-O-U exercise. What could be simpler than the 5 vowels? So when I teach this, when I practice this, when I embody this, you can do this with me. Watch. As you say, this is, I am love, lover, and beloved. Opening that widening, that embodying, that full heartfelt expansion of the heart and lungs to receive fully what we most strongly desire, deserve, and decree. So it's a practice of widening this band, feeling it expand around our land. Then the next sound is going up, the sound of E to activate the throat chakra. E. It's safe for me to share my wisdom by voice and my message with you. Or sometimes I go like this to vibrate this area physically. You see where we're coming from? The next sound is I, the I am presence that connects who I am with what I'm able to manifest. I am that I art, the sound of I going up and down the spine at the same time. I. Then O, that honors all circular processes of which we are all connected. Oh. And finally, ooh, a sound of deepening down to the base of the spine, to the center of the molten earth, with the affirmation that matches of, I trust standing on a firm, flexible foundation that supports me. A fresh stand of command in my land. Then putting it all together. Ah, yeah, oh. So you see what we're doing here? We're connecting sound, movement, breath, intention, affirmation. And this sets the stage in the book. Some of the exercises here as well show you how you can bring out your messaging and connect with your inner wisdom that's buried in the landscape of your body. As I said earlier, once bound, now bound to release, as whatever sound that was just released from the floor without our thinking about it. The universe is connecting with us in very powerful ways when we listen, when we attune ourselves to the wisdom and the synchronicity of everything, every movement, every moment, every thought. This magic that we're able to create in our lives.
Well, you are a fully expressed being, really.
Thank you for noticing.
And it's magnetic, and and people can find Gary. Can you pronounce your name for us? Holman?
It's Wohlman. But it's very interesting that you say that, because one of my dear friends recently, who did a intuitive reading for me, he spelt my name,
Yeah.
whole man, because it's taken me ages to come to this, but I am a whole man, and I take whole and complete breath. But my name is Wohlman. It's pronounced Wohlman. I am a whole man, so you can go either way with me. At this stage in my life, I'm a flexible character. I'd like to read the back of this, if I might.
Please.
Because this blurb on the back that was written for me and with me, says so much. What Michelangelo was a sculptor, Gary Wohlman, or Holman, however you like to pronounce it, I'm flexible. I am that to the body and the soul. Just as Michelangelo saw the angel already in the marble and chiseled until he set it free, Dr. Gary, that's me, has developed a simple, elegant approach to bringing out the best in people, in our bodies, minds, and lives. I'm ad-libbing a bit here. Being a model of all body, all mind, all spirit, myself, his specialized somatic system, because it is all about the body, frees people's unspoken communications and conversations held in the deepest parts of the psyche through the body-mind interface. As an archaeologist of the soul, Dr. Gary pioneers and provides fresh pathways for you to liberate the physical, emotional, and creative energies once buried in the landscape of the body, our chief instrument of communication, allowing the true you to come out. His whimsical, hey, if I can be playful, then I can share my deepest truth with people. But first, let me trust enough to be silly. His whimsical approach, integrating new self-talk with rhyme, thank you for noticing, will transport you on a mystical journey. Yes. Answers you've been seeking, now you will find. This multimodal, multi-sensory approach will cause shifts in your consciousness and connection with yourself and others, with everything that you think, say, and do. No longer will you be afraid to speak your mind. Whoever reads this, whoever works with me, has a freedom of speaking up that they never experienced before. I'm having fun ad-libbing from this. It's much more fun to take these words and take it to another level. No longer will you hesitate with life's decisions. No longer will you wait for the good things to happen. This can and will happen to you and through you. And Dr. Gary, in his playful, passionate, penetrating way, shows you how to create miracles in your life each and every moment, each and every day, this moment, all the time in the world. Get up, stand up for your life, provides you with a brilliant blueprint, easy for me to say, that will illuminate the rest of your life from the inside out. It's an inside job. That's right. And gives you tangible tools, tips, and titillating techniques so you truly shine. I'm ad-libbing a lot here. Open the door and embrace all you've come here for. Fresh stories, new glories, we dance and sing. Yes, we are remembering. Yes, we are awakening.
There you go. I don't know who would disagree with me. You're fully expressed. And it's not only this book, there's YouTubes that you can find. There's two beautiful websites as well. There's Dr. Gary's fabulous profile on our Soul Advisor platform. And there's Dr. Gary himself, whom you can engage with. So you work in so many different capacities. If you're drawn to it, you'll find him. It's pretty hard not to. Look at him. So I want to really thank you for being part of our community and bringing what I thought you would bring to it, which is fun, and levity and brevity and directness and engagement that kind of cracks things open. So
Thank you so much, Kate.
really,
You know, even though we met 20 years ago at some networking events in Sydney, we didn't really connect back then. And then suddenly, from joining your Soul Advisor group, I communicated with you just before going to do a large speaking engagement going to Canada. And little did I know that you would recognize in me the same commitment that you have to freeing people's voice, message, and wisdom, wellness practitioners, entrepreneurs alike. It is our time, all of us, to get release the hesitation, the questioning, the doubting, and bring ourselves forward in a propelling, compelling, telling, welling, and swelling manner. It's for all of us to do. The world
oh
needs
my
us to hear our
Lord,
message. I feel so beautifully seen by you.
well,
And now we're together bringing out even more of our shared vision. Deeply touched.
gorgeous. And may all of us together and the work that we do help our entire practitioner community to bring forth their gifts. Because, what an amazing community on Soul Advisor. I say that unequivocally. What an incredible community of incredible people bringing incredible work to the world. And now, if they could get loud and proud like you, we would be there. It would really contribute to the healing of this planet. So
Yes.
thank you for what you bring. Let's keep working together. And yeah, send comments, send love. Goodbye, everybody.
And
Thanks for
hello.
being with us. And hello.
That was fun, hey.